Well, we're going to turn back to the situation in Gaza now because we were able to get contact with our guest. That is Bushra Khaldi, who is humanitarian policy lead for Oxfam in Ramallah. Hi there, Bushra. Glad to have you on the show today. Can you tell us what you make of the Pope's comments, if you were able to hear them earlier? Do you think that criticism of Israel from any world leaders is going to make a difference for Gazans at this point?
Nothing that we've done in terms of our calls for the application of international law when it comes to Gaza has been applied for the last 15 months. Our calls have not been heeded by allies and non-allies of Israel. The situation in Gaza is nothing short of an apocalyptic nightmare. Families are starving, children are rummaging through rubbish for scraps of food, and entire communities and families have been systematically cut off from life-saving aid. Our hopes are very, very little 15 months into this onslaught.
Bushra, as we get deeper and deeper into winter, is Israel doing anything at all to ease restrictions on aid deliveries?
Just 12 trucks of food and water in 2.5 months have entered the Gaza Strip, the north at least. This is not aid. This is cruelty. And when those supplies do make it, they are followed by shelling and destruction of the very places people were sheltering in. To be honest, what we've seen is a systematic obstruction and targeting of humanitarian aid. And these are not logistical delays. They've been deliberate. They've been systematic. And they've starved and displaced an entire population.
How does Israel justify continuing to restrict these aid deliveries, especially, again, in the dead of winter?
Well, I'm not here to talk about what Israel has said or not. I'm not a spokesperson for the government of Israel. What I can tell you as a humanitarian policy lead, is that Israel is the occupying power, and it has clear obligations under international law to protect and provide for the people of Gaza. And yet it continues to flout these laws with complete unabated impunity. The international community cannot just continue to look away. Every day without action is a day complicit in the suffering of millions of Palestinians.
As a final question for you, Bushra, earlier this week, a Human Rights Watch report, of course, accused Israel of acts of genocide, specifically over its water and electricity policy. Can you tell us more about what that has looked like concretely and what the consequences have been?
Oxfam was one of the first organizations to witness and write about Israel's use of water and food as weapons of war, and also was one of the first organizations to conduct analysis on the forcible displacement and how unlawful the forcible displacement orders of the Palestinian civilian population in Gaza became and continue to be. Israel has systematically used food and water as a weapon of war. Our report earlier this year in July on the destruction of Oxfam-funded infrastructure of water and wastewater infrastructure that we've, committed to over the years in Gaza have completely been wiped away. There's no more water or sanitation in Gaza that really is working at a level that sustains life in Gaza. From what we're seeing is the consistent and systematic destruction of everything that sustains life in Gaza, including the health sector. The humanitarian aid response itself is on its knees, and every other sector of society, including education, religious centers or mosques and churches, universities, everything has been absolutely decimated, and people are on the brink of famine, with nothing to keep them warm, to keep them fed, to keep them even have access to the basic water to have a shower, or to even clean your food or to clean your home. My family is right now in the debris of their old previous home that's been demolished as well, with some makeshift tarp in order to prevent the rain from coming in. And we have 15 children in our family that are have been just witnessing this relentless onslaught. And it's imagine having to tell your children not to play because even the smallest movement might make them dizzy from hunger. That's the horrifying reality for families in Gaza right now.
Bushra Khaldi, thank you so much for sharing your own family story and, of course, for coming on the show today. That's unfortunately all we have time for.
Thank you so much for having me.